Hey Internet, it is Gunter with MiniMishaps Games, and today we are going to talk about leveling up the traits that we picked in the last video. Last time on this series, we picked out traits for our new role-playing games, and so I picked out 10, you might have picked out 6 or 8 or what have you. And so today we're going to be looking at how to level those up and how to make sure that we're consistent across each of the traits so that one character with one group of traits doesn't quickly outpace other characters with different traits. So I've got my 10 traits. I'm just going to be quickly going down and explaining how the leveling works for each one. The first trait alphabetically is Divinity, and essentially this is just every trait is, for me, going to have a battle ability and a roleplay ability. The battle ability for Divinity is straight up healing. As you level it up, it adds another d4 of the amount of healing that is done, and in this case it is every 2 levels gets another d4. On the roleplay side, the Divinity trait allows you to enter the dream state. So this is essentially a temporary area where you're allowed to talk to your deities or your creatures of power or your dark forces or anything that's high enough power level that it can grant spells and boons and things. So the Divinity roleplay ability allows you to enter the dream state, and then at higher levels allows you to bring others to the dream state with you. And our next trait, Flexibility, is essentially at the low levels in battle, dodging. So dodge a ranged weapon, dodge a normal weapon, dodge a single target spell. And then at the higher levels, you can actually move your allies out of the way and help them dodge. So it's a little bit more interactive, a little bit more collaborative than some of the other abilities in other RPGs. And then, so that's the battle ability for Flexibility. And then the roleplay ability for Flexibility is our sneaking. So anytime that your character wants to pass another set of eyeballs without being noticed. And then at the higher levels, it actually allows them to take other allies with them while they sneak. So they're so sneaky they can cover up the non-sneakiness of their allies. So again, geared towards working together collaboratively. Our third trait is Impact, and in damage, this is the weapons that you can use and how much damage you do with them. And so an open-handed attack with level 0 in Impact is a d4 of physical damage. Otherwise, at level 1 you can use normal weapons, at level 3 you can use heavy weapons, at level 5 you can throw normal weapons, and it goes up from there. And then at the high levels, you just are adding 10 pounds of what can be thrown for bigger and heavier objects for every 2 levels there. On Impact's roleplay ability side, this is essentially breaking stuff. So in D&D or Pathfinder, this might be a athletics check or a strength check or a to break the door down or break the chest open. And so it is by material, so at the low levels you're breaking things made out of wood or softer, and then stone or softer, metal or softer, and then magic comes at the higher levels. Influence, this is from other systems, our charisma abilities. And in battle you have Inspire or Distract other creatures, which essentially you can raise or lower the difficulty of a roll that's being made in battle. And then as you get higher in levels, that changes to the higher number of creatures and higher amount of difficulties changed. For the role-playing ability, under Influence, you're gathering information and gaining favor. Essentially, you're getting people to like you, and that could be in order to gain access to an area or get quests or learn secrets and things like that. Next up, we are about halfway through. We've got our magic ability, or our magic trait. Battle ability is essentially the ability to use spells, and at higher levels using multiple target spells and combining spells together, which I'm excited for because that's another one you don't see a lot of the times with other role-playing systems, is the ability to fuse spells creatively. Roleplay ability under the magic trait, these are the same except instead of spells now you're doing rituals, and you are scribing spells and rituals onto scrolls, so you are able to save spells for later and replicate them and all that during the non-battle times. Next trait is Neuronics, and in battle, the battle ability of a Neuronics heavy character is to know the weaknesses of enemies, and this again is essentially lowering the difficulty on hitting them or lowering their resistances to different things. The Neuronics on a roleplay side is these are going to be like your history or nature or dungeoneering checks, which is no trivia, no jargon, no secrets are classified, and then at higher levels just changing the difficulties on those at greater amounts. Alright, we have got our skill trait, and essentially this is kind of being able to be more accurate with hits. So your directed attack, it can be with spells and it can be with weapons, and this is where it's a little bit different than other systems because you don't have a single trait that can increase your damage on both of those. Here you do. It's skill, that your directed attack can be applied with a melee weapon, a ranged weapon, or a spell. And then the roleplay ability under the skill trait, these are fine motor actions. These are going to be things like picking locks or carving replicas of things, just anything where it would take hand-eye coordination. That's your skill in the roleplay ability, and at the higher levels this is where you're crafting items and magic items. We've got 3 left, and speed is our third to last trait, and the battle ability under speed is that you can surprise the enemy, you can move forward in the battle order, and at the higher levels you can take another action and more actions after that. The speed trait's roleplay ability essentially increases your movement, and this is the normal starting movement. If you have 0 speed is 5 squares, so it goes up basically 1 every level that you can increase the number of squares used in an action. Next up we've got strategy. The battle ability under the strategy trait is that you can change around first yourself, then allies, then enemies, and then any. You can move pieces of terrain around. This is all during battle to change, kind of like a chessboard, who's standing where and who's within what ranges of what, those kinds of things. The roleplay ability under the strategy trait is tracking and locating creatures, and then at the higher levels it can be longer amounts of time since they needed to be tracked or located. Last trait is toughness, and in battle the toughness is your ability to not be affected or to be affected less amount of time for negative effects. So negative effects might be poison, might be sleep, might be fear. Your toughness kind of allows you to either counter that or stop it rounds before it would otherwise stop. On the roleplay side, this is your health points, and this is a normal per level health points. If you have 0 toughness is 5, and then it goes up 1 per level per toughness point that you've used. So what that means for the game is that you can choose if you want a character that combines speed with neuronics, or a character that combines strategy with toughness, or that combines influence with flexibility. You really get to custom build your character however you want them to play the game. And then I like that the battle and roleplay abilities are listed separately from each other, because you're going to have tables and DMs and groups of players that want more battle or that want more roleplay, and now you can get kind of examples of how each of those would function. So next time, you guys can look forward to, we're going to lay out some classes, and essentially what that means is after you're ready to start leveling up your character, in the character creation process, a class is going to give you a point in 2 of these traits, and then in other future videos, the people that your character comes from, that's like your species or your race, that will also give you points in one of these 10 traits. And so eventually you can choose your class and your people to build the traits that you want to use in the game. So you can look forward to that next time. This has been Leveling Up Your Traits, and I'm very excited to hear what all of you are doing. If you are using a trait system or a stat system or a skill system that is a non-traditional one, or if you're modeling it after these videos, we'd love to hear about that as well. Thanks for sticking around till the end, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks, Internet.